From a young age, we often hear stories about miracles. Stories of people who seem to be on the verge of defeat and somehow managed to move forward. Stories of illnesses that found treatment when all hope seemed lost. Families reunited after years of separation, and individuals who overcame obstacles that appeared impossible to conquer. We often call a miracle an extraordinary outcome, the moment when circumstances change unexpectedly and hope returns. However, there is something that often goes unnoticed when we look at these stories from the outside. We focus on the final result but not on everything that happened beforehand. We see the moment the door opened, but not all the days it remained closed. We see the victory, but not the countless times that person came close to giving up. That is why many of the miracles we admire seem to have one thing in common. They tend to find people who chose to keep moving forward when quitting appeared to be the easier option. Life does not always unfold the way we expect. There are moments when everything seems to align in our favor, but there are also seasons when every step feels like a struggle. There are periods when our efforts produce no immediate results, when answers take longer than expected, and when difficulties seem to multiply without explanation. During those moments, it is easy to lose faith, to believe that nothing will ever change, or to convince yourself that continuing to try no longer makes sense. The human mind looks for results. We invest time, energy, and sacrifice into a goal, expecting to see progress. When that progress does not appear, frustration begins to grow. Little by little, doubt takes hold. Then come exhaustion, disappointment, and the temptation to give up. Many people become stuck at that exact point, not because they lack talent, but because the weight of their difficulties becomes greater than their willingness to continue. And that is understandable. Fighting for a long time without seeing results can wear down even the strongest individuals. Yet history shows us again and again that the greatest transformations often happen after long periods of uncertainty. Very few people reach their goals in a straight line. Most make mistakes. They fail. They stumble. They take steps backward. They learn and try again. And they continue moving forward even when the outcome is still invisible. We often imagine that people who achieved extraordinary things always possessed absolute confidence in themselves. Reality is usually different. They felt fear. They doubted themselves. They experienced moments when they believed they would never succeed. The difference was not the absence of difficulties. The difference was that they kept moving forward despite them. When we observe life's greatest transformations, we discover that they rarely happen overnight. Most are built slowly. Important projects must overcome countless obstacles before producing results. That is why perseverance is so valuable. Not because it guarantees immediate success, but because it keeps the possibility of success alive. Those who quit stop moving forward. Those who continue still have opportunities ahead of them. This does not mean ignoring reality or denying hardship. There are deeply painful situations. There are losses, illnesses, financial struggles, and circumstances completely beyond our control. There are moments when even taking a small step forward requires tremendous effort. Yet it is precisely in those moments that one of the deepest forms of courage appears. The decision not to give up. The decision to keep believing that something can change. The decision to stand up one more time when everything suggests it would be easier to stay on the ground. Many people discover abilities they never knew they possessed during their darkest moments. They discover hidden strength. They develop resilience they never previously needed. They realize they can endure far more than they ever imagined. And even if they do not recognize it at the time, that inner transformation is already a form of miracle. Because miracles are not always about circumstances changing instantly. Sometimes they are about a person changing while moving through those circumstances. A miracle can be finding strength when you thought there was none left. It can be recovering hope after losing it. It can be discovering a new opportunity where you once saw only an ending. For those who have faith, this idea carries an even deeper meaning. Many people believe that God works in the lives of those who trust Him and persevere even through adversity. Not because faith removes every problem, but because it provides the strength necessary to keep moving forward when answers have not yet arrived. There are moments when it feels as though our prayers go unheard, when solutions take longer than expected, and uncertainty seems endless. Yet many people eventually discover that what they interpreted as silence was actually a season of preparation, growth, and learning. Faith does not always change circumstances immediately. but it can change the person facing those circumstances, can provide peace in the middle of chaos, hope in the middle of darkness, and courage to continue when everything seems lost. That is why it is so important not to confuse delays with endings. Just because you do not see results today does not mean your efforts are worthless. Most great transformations remain invisible for a long time before becoming evident. A seed spends weeks beneath the soil before showing the first signs of life. A person may work for years before reaching an important goal. Life is full of processes that take place before results appear. That is why those who persevere often discover opportunities that those who gave up never lived long enough to see. Not because they are luckier, not because the path is easier for them, but because they remained in the journey long enough to encounter what they were searching for. In the end, miracles rarely come to those who quit at the first obstacle. Miracles tend to find those who keep moving forward even when the path is uncertain. Those who continue believing when circumstances seem discouraging. Those who choose to rise one more time after every fall. And perhaps your next opportunity is much closer than you imagine. So if you are going through a difficult season today, do not allow exhaustion to convince you to quit. Keep fighting, because as long as the willingness to continue exists, the possibility of change remains alive. And very often, miracles appear precisely when a person decides to take one more step, at the exact moment they thought they could not continue any longer.